And we are back. After concluding the Nahlak series a few days ago, I did decide that the next game that we would what's the word? Continue maybe? Or rather place in its slot, as I'm only having 2 slots right now for ongoing series. Is its a spiritual successor or sequel, the Natuk, which is Earth themed and well, the plot will be shown once I begin the game. And I haven't tested how well this works, but this is not being run by DOSBox, but rather in Windows 10. It is using the version 1.30, so it should have fixed some issues that were extant in earlier versions, such as the scrolling speed being too fast on modern machines. And Natuk is pretty much a more advanced version of Nahlak with different storyline. And we'll make our own party. Unfortunately, this is re-rolling based, so you do not assign values. And your class is not governed by your character icon in Natuk. You just choose a race and class that are available. And like before, you make a party of 8 characters. And in combat, this means that 4 will start in the front row and 4 will start in the back row. Orcs are the basic race of Natuk, which is an orcish nation led by an orc emperor. They can be of any class, whereas ogres are kind of strong compared to orcs who have no race modifiers, but unfortunately they are not the brightest and tend to go berserk in combat. But they can also be shaman in addition to warrior. And half troll, even more stupid than ogres. They do regenerate and take more damage from fire, poison, and bleeding. It's strange because regeneration and bleeding is mixed bag. They can only be warriors. But I think I want one half troll to be in my party, but I won't take an ogre for now. Because the berserking thing, I'm not a fan of it. And rerolling will take some time in this game. Basically you want high stats as possible. And I think it's somewhere like 63 is close to being as high as you can get on a natural roll. And ideally you'll want your primary stat to be very good. But the stats do different things in this game. I should probably try to explain what I know of them. Strength affects your carrying capacity, damage you deal, strength related starting values for skills. It is used to resist some effects. It also, I think, governs movement speed along with health. And basically you want your melee fighters to have a high strength. Intelligence governs intelligence-based skills, is used to resist some spell effects as far as I know. And it also affects how much experience your character gains from sources. I think mostly from combat. And experience is then used to increase stats and skills further, so being as dumb as a doornail means that you will not be advancing at a significant pace compared to your smarter party members. Perception. Not sure how much it influences and what. You use it to resist some effects such as confusion, and I think it's also used to spot subterfuge, such as enemies hiding in combat or things like that. I don't really know. Is there a way to consult the help for this? It's covered in stats screen or attributes. Da, da, da. Yeah, you also get damage to strength in combat from certain sources, and if that means that you can be too exhausted eventually to do anything. Alright, perception might be used for initiative, basically, in which order you get to act during the first combat round. And after that, I think it's governed by dexterity mainly. Actually, charming is also resisted by perception. Willpower is also, I think, lowered if you get surrounded by too many enemies at once, as if your character is by himself and there are too many enemies right next to him when his turn starts. This reduces willpower, and eventually it will mean that they'll just get overwhelmed when their willpower goes to 0, and further reductions will be applied to their hit points. And dexterity is a very broken stat in this game, mainly because there are spells and effects that you can use against enemies to lower their dexterity, and since it's relative, that means that they probably will only get to act once in a while, whereas your party gets to act several times in a row. So it's quite overpowered. Actually, it is dexterity and health that affects movement speed. And health is hit points. So let's keep re-rolling. I ideally want to have a strength of at least 60. Well, for a warrior it's strength, dexterity and health, and hopefully high intelligence. And to get those nice 60s, it's going to be quite hard. I might be confusing the re-rolling system with the one in Tower of Darkness or Pirates of the Western Sea. I think you had a little bit more starting rolls in them. Maybe 60 is the absolute maximum in this one, because I haven't seen one yet. Well, this one's upper average. Strength is not as high as I want it to be, but all the stats are, well, mostly 50 or higher. I think I'm going to choose this one for the warrior. And do I want to go for a two-handed weapon or a one-handed weapon and a shield, or two one-handed weapons? I want my front row to have two warriors, a scout and an assassin. So I'm guessing that one of the warriors will use a two-handed weapon and one will use a shield. Assassin will use two weapons and scout will, I don't know. I think they use fencing and ranged. I can't really remember what the fixed items that you are certain to find in this game are. But I think I want to choose two-handed sword. Maybe it's just for the tribute for Nahlak and it's +7 Holy Greatsword, but I don't know. Let's invest into it. And then we choose something that you cannot use. So you're not going to use fencing. Sling. I don't know if I want to choose brawling. Let's choose throwing. And crossbow. So bows you can still use, but not that much else. And since you're not using the shield, let's stock you with repair skill. And give you 0 to command. Oh, naming. I haven't even given this any thought yet. Let's call you Uffe. And let's use these graphics for you. Next character, assassin, has to be orc. So you want high dexterity, I think. Too little of intelligence to choose this one. This one's good. Let's go with this one. And you want to choose knights because they are capable of backstabbing. And you're not going to take brawling. And no, this one's a bit tough. Because looting gives you more money from enemies. Whereas hiding would allow you to do more backstabbing in combat. I think I'm going to choose looting to begin with and possibly train hiding later on with height experience. Or if I find an item that confers invisibility status, then I don't really need hiding at that point anymore. And you're not going to use poisons or weasel. And assassin name? G. Well, I can change them later on. So let's just choose something. I'm drawing a blank. So let's call it blank. And we'll use this graphic. Then we have the scout, which wants high dexterity. Oh my. These aren't bad stats. Tell you what, I'll use these stats to make the second warrior, because the physical stats are quite good. And then we'll use the fourth slot to make the scout. And you want to use one-handed swords, I think. And we'll just remove the two-handed weapons from you. Naming is always so difficult. Nah. The upper four are kinda bad. It's not as high dexterity as I want, but overall, this one's doable. Let's go with fencing. Just for the early game. I want brawling, throwing, whistling. We want stealing, because it's so broken in this game. But we'll use the bow icon, even though he doesn't know how to use bows yet. Then we get to our back row, which means 2 shaman and 2 witch doctors. And that means pretty high intelligence to start with. This one isn't bad, but health leaves a lot to be desired for. Let's choose this one. You'll go with scribing, and the other one will go with alchemy, I'm guessing. Maybe this one. It's for a healer, so let's go with mace, chanting. Chanting is like music in Nahlak. You use it to give yourself a skill boost. And that is something that shaman can do. And now for the final witch doctor, the alchemist. Yeah, let's go with this one.